the center of the sound. So try it. B flats only, no talking, and then I'll give you a chance to do all this. Okay, go ahead, Ken. Like you did yesterday with the tunes. And pass them around to your friends. Anybody else? Okay, so Hannah, will you do what we're going to do this evening or this afternoon? I don't even know when the concert is, isn't it? No?
7.
7, okay, so tonight. Okay, Hannah's going to play what pitch to start?
A.
Promise me, there's nothing worse. Could you imagine going to see the Chicago Symphony, having the oboe sound an A, and having some clod play a B flat? You'd want your ticket back, your money back right then and there, wouldn't you? You wouldn't even listen to the overture. You'd be like, no, I want my money back, if that's the best they can muster. That's the same for us. So just remember it's an A. I know some of you at home, you start with an F, you start with a B flat, but I want to start with the A because there are certain instruments that have to have the A. That's the reason. We all can't tune to a B flat, sadly. There are a bunch of instruments that B flat is a waste of time to tune on. That's the reason. Okay. Slow. That's one person that far out of tune. Now, the truth is that almost counts as vibrato. It's so pretty. But let's see if we can eradicate that one person who's just off by a tiny bit. It's sharp and it's still there. There, here it's beatless now. Do you hear the beats gone? You know what causes the beats, right? There's a sound wave that we make. If two people make it and they're exactly in tune, it's like this. If two people are out of tune just a little bit, whenever they cross, it makes a beat. You put 100 of them and you hear, you get one, it goes wee, 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 until it goes away. Okay, so that's what we want. Tubas here, one more time. Euphonium. I'd like you to blend into their sound, evaporate it into it. I don't want to hear you come in, okay? Get swallowed up by their sound on that B flat. Go ahead. French horns into their sound. I don't want to hear you come in. Lower up. Scooch over, or scooch the stand a little bit, okay? Awesome, get yourself so you can see. I'm gonna say this now, and I'll say it again when I give you my little things to remember for this evening, but I'm gonna say it again because it really matters. Promise me, when we get on stage tonight, the single most important thing, maybe other than having your music in the right order, would be that you look around and make sure you're in exactly the same place, orientation to each other and me that you are right now. Now, all of your teachers and the staff folks over at the theater are going to do their very best to replicate this setup, but nobody could replicate it better than you can. There was a study done with a professional ensemble. They recorded them having rehearsed for 3 days in their hall. It was videoed, it was audioed, and it was mapped with a camera from above, okay? They then took the same group 1 day later, and they just slightly put everything askew, like someone tore it down and put it back. So instead of, let's say, Travis being there, Travis was a little over there. And instead of Daniel being here, he was a little over here. And instead of this row being that way, it was a little farther back. Follow me, it was just a little off. Not so much that an audience would notice it. They redid the mapping. They then took the 2 recordings, and they had 10 of the finest conductors in the world assess them blind. And every single one of the 10 ranked the performance of the first somewhere between 50 and 80% better than the second. Same players, same music, same room. And the reason is, social psychologists can tell you, it's called aural stimulus, or what's called cue stimulus. It means that if you're used to hearing a tuba player in your right ear and a snare drum in your left from 2 feet and 1 foot, that's the cue stimulus that tells you how to play. It's the same reason you can finish a song on a CD and you can sing the note of the next pitch without it coming on. Do you know what I'm talking about? You've all done that, right? It's the same cue stimulus. If you're used to hearing a second clarinet here and a third trumpet here, and now all of a sudden you're hearing second trumpet and first clarinet, your cue stimulus has changed and your performance will drop by about half. Isn't that amazing? Now, it doesn't work the same way with a small group. It's only in a big group they tested it. It was a full ensemble. So I beg you, look around right now and make sure that if you've been seated between these 2 young ladies, make sure you're right there. If you're seated between those 2 gentlemen, you're right behind them, make sure. Look around right now, because that's really important. And I know it doesn't seem it, and I never thought it until I read the study and went, holy crow, this is really quite an amazing thing, okay? So, I want to tell you something before we play. Because I can't tell you how impressed I am with what you are and what you've done. And but today kind of proves the muster. We're going to go through this music in order, like you saw, and we've got another opportunity to see what we can bring to it. And I want to tell you a little story that's really important to me that I remember every time I walk into a room to make music. Many years ago, long, long before you were born, there was a conductor. He is still to this day known as the greatest conductor who has ever walked the planet Earth. There are few who would ever challenge him. His name was Arturo Toscanini. Toscanini was second to none. For several reasons. One, he was brilliant. Second is, he somehow got people to play better than they ever thought. Now, he lived at a time when conductors were tyrannical. If they weren't cursing and screaming and throwing people out of rehearsals, they didn't earn their paycheck. It was a weird time. Thank goodness those days are gone, and musicians are treated as they should be. but he lived in that era. So he was known as a taskmaster, and you can go online and hear him ranting and raving and screaming at people and cursing in Italian. It was quite funny, but that's the time. But despite that, he was such a marvelous person and marvelous conductor. A bassoonist, the principal bassoonist of the Vienna Philharmonic, after the first time he ever worked under his baton, said these words. His name was Hugo Belcasa. He said, "The phenomenal thing about Toscanini was not that he was the greatest conductor that ever was. Everyone knew that. But that he somehow had this mystical and magical ability to make us as performers better than ourselves." People revered the man. They would come from anywhere to play for him. Towards the end of his life, he was given an orchestra. It was his own. And people left jobs as teachers and soloists and orchestra musicians around the world to come and have one more opportunity of playing with the old man. That was his nickname. Because they knew that he was getting older and they didn't know how long he'd be around. And they gathered, and many say that it was the greatest orchestra ever assembled. I mean, we're talking the finest in the world would come back. And they played under him, and it was supposedly some of the finest music ever created. One day, they were doing a dress rehearsal. It was the final run-through before they went to a concert. And they were playing a couple of pieces that I'm sure Toscanini had conducted 50,000 times, and they had played 50,000 times. They could have done it on autopilot. And just before they ran through that final take of this music before the concert, he stood on the podium, and he looked at them, this group of musicians second to none. And with his broken Italian, American English, because he was native Italian, he said 3 words: "Not again." Better. Now, what's so most significant about that is they were the last 3 words his orchestra ever heard him speak before he died shortly thereafter. And I said once to a performer that I got to meet early in my career who had played under Toscanini, and I said, "What do you think of those 3 last words?" And he said, "Having played under the old man a lot, there were no 3 words that represented what he wanted more than them. And as sad as it is that he's no longer with us, the memory of those 3 words is embossed in my soul." And that's a quote. Embossed in my soul. So I always thought to myself, you know, if that's the message that this greatest of all conductors was passing on to this greatest of all musicians that could be assembled, I thought it's a pretty darn good group of advice for me, for you, and for all of us. Now somehow you figured out, because every band director I've ever known has 50,000 ways that we can say, "Do it again." You know, try it again, one more time, let's do that again. You figured out somewhere along the line those words of Toscanini. It's not just doing it again, it's doing it better. Because if we just do it again, all we're doing is practicing the same mistakes. We're just practicing the same performance. If we can make it better with each repetition, that's how you get to be the players that you are right now, and the players that you will be. So I beg you, as you go through this little rehearsal today, and we run this stuff one more time, that you don't just play it again, but you honor the words of that remarkable old man. Not again. Better. Okay, resplendent. Glance at it. Take a second to figure out what it is you need to figure out. Run. Look at the page. Look at any mistake you made anywhere along the line. Okay. Make it your own. That was the best not sound that I've heard all weekend. this down. I know it's you because you're the only bell that's unveiled, okay? Promise you'll watch? Write it out right now. Don't hit that sforzando piano without looking. That was stunning. You do that tonight, I'll be blown away. There were 5 places, though, we need to fix. One's my fault because I forgot to do this. Okay, 127, percussion. Write yourself a note, look up. I heard boom on the downbeat. The latest one was, I think, timp, but I'm not really 100% sure, but we've got to write yourself a note. That release has to be with it. It wasn't timp, was it? It was bass drum. Or snare. I don't know what it was, but it was something. Okay, so it wasn't timp. Could we just start really quickly at 125? 125. Here it is. Got it, 125. And. That's not it. By the time I caught it, I didn't. Do you remember where it was, percussion? I looked at you, Andrew. I thought it was you, but I wasn't sure. Do you know where that was? 135. Is that the spot? 135. Excellent. Could we go 2 before 135? Okay, percussion, 135. Write yourself a note to look up. Thank you, Andrew. At least somebody's on it. Got it? I wasn't. Here we go. 133 then. 133. And the other one is one that I forgot. Where is that third trumpet solo that I pointed to you at?
Oh, did you want me to do it?
What measure is it?
103.
103. That is not supposed to be there.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't catch it. It's right here. It says tacit third trumpet incorrect. I did not catch it when we were rehearsing, and I never actually heard you play it, but that time I did. So get rid of it. It's not supposed to be there. Okay? So you do play the G sharp downbeat. You go bam, but it's a mistake. It's a boo in the part. Okay? Good. The other thing was the pitch at. Well, early on it was in the flutes. Let me see if I can find it. Here, 29, please. 29. That was beautiful, gang. That had to feel good, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Red on 29. 29. 29. Beautiful job. And. Between the flutes and the horns, it's not really a note. It's like a strangled moose. It's still sharp. Put an arrow down on it. First clarinet's is a little sharp as well, I think. 29. Okay, Mark. 29. Who do I have playing in the horns at 31? I need to thin this. Is it all the horns? It's just first? Wow. I'd like to go with solo horn just for that measure 31. Just for 31. Then everybody's back in. Here's 29. That was so much better. Thank you. 29. So sharp in the horn. And they're pretty good at this point. It's so sharp on that one note. Chad, would you try it for me, please? Curtis, same thing. Ready? 29 to the end. Do you mind if I let him play that one measure? Good, so we'll do that. It's a little closer. It's still sharp, but it's better. Could we just play 29 one more time? 29. 29. And the last spot, trumpets. Richard, help me. It's where you're the first solo are playing the sforzando on the C. Do you know where that is?
177.
177. That's it. Okay. It sounds weird here, and here's the reason why. Is it all the first playing the C? Yes. You're not watching, so I'm hearing dee ba da da da. So we can tell there's a change. You know what I mean? It's like the splice didn't match. Could we start, please, at measure 172? You just wait for me and put a good, strong sforzando, and no one will know we spliced here. Okay? 172. Tutti, please. 172. And. First, I love it. Can you hit that C just a teeny bit harder? Good. One more time. 172. biggest problem is trumpets right in here are rushing the 16ths. Ta, ta, da, da, dee, da, di, da, dum. You're going dee, da, dum. So you're losing time. Over time, square it off. 172, 2, Everybody take your pencil. That was much better. Thank you. 178, put a massive down the accent. Now, most of you also have it marked short. That's great, but I want a throttling accent. We start right at that measure, 178. 1, 2, Volume matters much less than rhythmic precision. Don't rush it. One more time. We're going to go 77, please. Sorry, tones. 70, 76. Go 76. 4 before 80. 4 before 180. 1, 2, Please move the stance so you're looking at me, not looking at other times. Move it over, right at me. Good, so much better. Thank you for the eyes. Awesome. Go to the end. I just want to do the sforzanos. So 206. 206. Beautifully played. Oh, gorgeous. What 206? And. Great, Lindsay. Bravo. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Awesome. Isn't that a beautiful piece? Don't you just love, isn't it just gonna make you happy to be alive? Oh, I love it. Has anybody done its sister piece, Transcendent Journey, the companion piece? Yeah. I think that's a humdinger. I really love it. I once did both in the same concert, one with one band and one with another. Darn near killed me, but it's pretty fun. Good. We did them a year apart, and it's pretty fun. Okay, good. Johnny, how do you feel today? Top. The answer is excited. Can't wait to play this.
I'm so sorry.
There is zero chance of me ever missing one of those cues. It will not happen. I will literally retire tomorrow morning. I will cancel every event I ever have for the rest of my life if I miss one of those cues. Okay? You've got to trust me. You do that, then he doesn't know what to do, and we have to start the piece over. Okay? You promised me now. One, you have 4 strikes. You just look at me on every one of them. Johnny, that was magnificent. Would you mind starting in maybe 3? Is that okay? I don't want to tire you out unnecessarily. Okay, here's 3. Okay, stop. You're in the wrong place. 3. He's going to hit you with his. Awesome. Two things, really, clarinets, trombones. The fourth tsunami wave was perfect. That volume we worked on yesterday, whatever that is, at 56, is that right? It was just breathtaking. Beautiful, beautiful playing in everybody's play, but especially the three solos, just breathtaking. The one place I want to hear is the pitch at 86. Could you play 86 only if you have eight notes like we did yesterday? Just 8 notes. Come in when you have them, get out when you don't, please. I don't want to tire you, but we have to fix this, okay? Here is 86. I thought we had it yesterday, but I probably let it go prematurely. Okay, here we go. 4/4, only 8 notes. Okay, and here's the first one. Stop. You're not listening to my ear. Only play your 8 notes. Play whatever's an 8th note. Don't play anything that isn't an 8th. Okay, so flutes, you're going to start and then stop. Okay, or stop and then start. Okay, here we go. 8 notes. Here's the first one. Leave out flutes, please. out flutes, leave out clarinets. Now I just want to hear alto saxes, trumpets, horns. That's it. Here we go. Those eights and. Trumpet 3 and 4. Would you mark that 4/4 measure mezzo forte, still with accents, but only mezzo forte? Horns. Did I take everybody off of the A beat 3, or did I leave a couple people on? Take that out. We don't need it. It's just quadrupled. It's just adding mud. Okay. Let's hear that measure. Here's the 4/4. Everyone, please. No offense. It's just we don't need it. Okay. Here's the 4/4. Here it is. Ready and. No fourth trumpet. No, now here's what I want. In that 4/4 measure, fourth trumpets play the downbeat and then stop. Come back in on the 5/4. Third trumpet, I only want one person playing. Let's try that. And then everybody back in on the dotted half. Okay? Let's try that. Here's the 4/4. We might just get rid of thirds. Here we go. Ready? 4/4 and. Take out the second alto sax in the 4/4 measure, please. It's just too many people on that part. One more time. Ready and. That's the cure. Okay, it was just too many. There's like, what, 24 trumpets or something? Okay, so let's go everyone 3 before 88, and that should take care of that problem. 3 before 88, I just want to hear the context. Okay. Thanks, gang. 3 before 88, and. Do you want to try the beginning one more time, or do you want me to do my luscious singing of it? I can do it? Hurts me just as much as you. Aren't you glad Johnny's playing it and not me singing it? Okay, that's fine. So we're cool there, and then the only other spot I wanted to hear was. No, I know what it was. I'm not gonna rehearse it. In the temp, you saw the one that was way too loud. Okay, but you two redeemed yourself with 7 to 9. Let me tell you, that was just gorgeous. You couldn't have played 7 to 9 better. It was like I was hitting it with my hand. It was just perfect, the two of you. I don't know how you did it. But just that first one was a little too loud. Okay. Second one, the third measure, third time it happens, perfect. Your second one was perfect. Good. Go on, please. British shape. Yay!
Yay.
You sound so good. I'm really glad we're doing this. I really am. I don't know if I told you, but when I called home after the first night's rehearsal, and I said, here's what and I told you my wife's a middle school band director, who's really bummed out. Her band was the only one of 2 bands in the entire state of New York chosen to perform for the State Band Directors Conference. She worked tirelessly. I went out and heard them twice. They were amazing. And I don't know if you heard, Syracuse, New York got a blizzard, 20 inches of snow, and it was canceled. Her kids were like posting stuff on Facebook that was so sad, like, my life is now ruined because I didn't get to, but here's the part, because I didn't get to watch movies on a coach bus. One kid actually said that. Yeah. So she was really bummed out. So I was trying to humor her. Anyway, she said, what do you think of doing? And I told her the program thing. She said, you don't have a ballad. I said, I know, I'm thinking of not doing it. She said, you have to have a ballad. I said, there's enough slow stuff in the other. She said, you have to have a ballad. She said, didn't you say you were thinking of doing Lindsay? I said, yeah. She said, why are you not doing Lindsay? She reamed me out. I said, I'm thinking I'm not gonna, you have to do Lindsay. Here's what she said, how's your horn, piano, and flute? I said, wonderful. She said, well then you're just an idiot if you don't. So last night when I called us over doing Lindsay, she said, thank you for following my advice. Now what do you say about those 32-foot pipes? Okay, here we go. Is this okay? Am I doing okay? Watch it.
I think I see it. I don't understand.
Good, make sure we dampen the backside of the bass drum. Two problems. Tiny one, a tuba player at 101 was not watching on big ba ba. It was, I know exactly who it was. I was staring at them by accident. Mark it in tubas, mark it right now. Big ba ba wasn't with me. The trombones were, the reeds were, so I know it wasn't me. But that one stuck out. Could we go 99, please? 99. 99. Here it is. Good. Good, that's the first one. Second one, you don't need me to tell you, 112. How many people forgot 112? Would you figure? I'm gonna guess it was about 12. Okay, now is it marked in your parts? Does everyone have it?
Yes.
Okay, do you wanna borrow my red pencil? Do whatever you need to do. If you're even suspicious, you can't do the whole back. Leave it out, because that was bad. I'd rather not do it than do that. Okay, can we go 108, please? 108. The rest of it was just gorgeous. Tempo was like a rock. It was perfect. 108. back, it helps a little bit. Okay, just, I'm not saying getting louder, just energized. Good, do it again, 108, that was beautiful. That's the band I want tonight, not the one I heard 5 minutes ago. 108. Was that one spot in the trumpets at the trio. I don't know what it is, about 74 or something like that. It was repulsively loud, disgustingly out of tune, phenomenally ugly. Other than that, it was perfect. 69. I don't even know how 4 people could play that out of tune with each other, that obnoxiously loud and ugly in a march that's so lovely. Here's the trio. Trio, 69, yes. 69. Picture of me with horns or something at that spot so you don't ever do what you did earlier, because that was stunning. That sounded just exactly what it was. Good. The only thing I'm going to ask you to do is we're in a reasonably small room. I hear the crescendi, I hear the accents, I hear the diminuendo. They're lovely. You own them. My worry is, and I haven't been in the hall yet, but I suspect it's a fairly big one, Mr. Gilbert, yes. They will never hear you did anything. And here's what your teachers are going to say about British 8th. Cool, it was very clean. I'm hoping. They will never be impressed with our dynamics or articulation. Here's why. They'll never hear it. For them to hear it in a big hall, at this point, I should be this close to telling you to back off. Or don't get so soft that I can't hear you. That's how aggressive you're gonna have to do it, okay? And I know that doesn't make sense because you hear them vibrantly and you're putting out all that energy to do them. But truth be known, a dear friend of mine who's a conductor and he gave the analogy of this. It's like having a Maserati, flooring it, but having never turned on the engine. Wow. It's a wonderful attempt of doing this, but it doesn't get you anywhere. They don't hear it, so don't bother doing it unless you're gonna really do it. Does that make sense? Can we do the trio and see if you can exaggerate those? And I'll be honest with you, it's more the dynamic contrast of loud and soft that I'm worried about than I am the articulation. I think that one's gonna come through. I really do. Okay, especially the dogfight. Okay, here's the trio, 69, 69, and. Okay, how many trumpets are playing right there? Good, I just want 2. 1 top, 1 bottom. Here it is, 69, 2, ready, and. My tummy kind of went like this when you did that crescendo. But the best thing you did was the diminuendo. Did you hear that one diminuendo? It got almost to the point where I was like, oh crap, are they stopping? That was really great. Pompey, please.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful playing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
All right.
I don't even need to check the tempo, but I'm gonna.
Inspiration right there. You squad?
Yay, you.
Psych. Right.
Why you gotta be like this? I was having like a heartfelt moment.
I have to tell you, you are among the most respectful people I've ever conducted. You're among the finest of human beings I've ever conducted. But you have this weird thing about you. Can I tell you what it is? You don't smile. Honestly. Now, my daddy was from Georgia, so I know it's not a Georgia thing. My dad smiled all the time. What the heck's wrong with you? You just played your tails off, and this is what I'm saying. I just looked at a clarinet player who was going like this.
Dull or lame.
That is your facial expression collectively. I'm sure there's one or two of you, but most of you look like you're getting like a prison photo taken. It's a little disconcerting. It's what? After this what? Oh, really? That's up there with I'm tired. Come on, Daniel, smile. There you go, good. I don't care if you're faking at this point. Just smile. You're making me weirded out. Here we go, Tom Petty. I gotta tell you something, I thought of it last night. My dad meant the world to me. Both my folks did. I wouldn't be what I am in any way, shape, or form if it wasn't for my dad. I've done a million of these. Everyone's special. But this one's more than normal. My dad was one of you. And everything he passed on to me, he brought from Georgia. And I just keep thinking, this one has to be special. It has to be everything I can possibly do. Because I know my dad's looking down and thinking one thing. Don't you dishonor Georgia, or I'll come back and haunt you. And I keep thinking, my dad should be in the back of the room. That would be fair. Because I'd love to bring him home, get him to meet you. And that's all I thought for the whole weekend. Every one of these is special. But you represent something extra special. And for that I thank you. Hot damn. Wow. That was awesome. I mean, it was just awesome. Did you find yourself towards the end there realizing you had forgotten to breathe? Yeah. At one point I went, I feel funny. Oh crap, I haven't taken a breath. I went, felt much better. All right, couple of things. The end is better than you've ever done it. Hands down, especially the intensity of the last 6-8 measures. Partially you're not exhausted, partially because you really thought about how you could manage that ending. I will tell you the very cool thing, because a lot of you have played Machu. Has anybody played Nazca lines, the second one, the middle one? Or you gotta do Nazca. It's not as hard as this one, but it's somewhere between Machu and this one. It's a great piece, I love it. Here's one of the clever things he did. He wanted to make each one more intense, so each one ends with multiple endings. Those who've played Machu know it has 2 endings. You say, okay, we're done, and then you go, oh crap, we have to do this again, and there's another ending. Nazca has 3 endings, and as you've just heard, this one has, that's right, 5. I asked him, why not 4? He said, 5 is better. That's the answer I got. But that's why you get to it, and everyone in the audience is gonna go, okay, let's clap, it's time, it's over, and then you go, we keep going. And then we get to that magnificent place where the trumpet does it, we get to another climax, and they go, this has to be it. And we keep doing it until finally the end, people are ready to pass out. And I think he managed that incredibly, but more importantly, you did. Second thing you did, better than ever, is 3 before you. It's the first time I really felt like I had control of time for that retard, a tempo retard. I thought that was the best you ever did. I'd like to quit to T, 2 little spots other than T. Richard, you've got to promise me something. I adore you. I'll put you in my suitcase, take you home, and make you one of my own. But you've got to promise me you will never do one thing ever again in your life. Do you know what it is? Tell me what it is.
Not get mad when I correct it.
That's right. Richard made a boo-boo. The first one probably all weekend, and he went, as he kept playing the right notes, never, ever, ever, ever take it out on yourself. Okay, unless you say, I'm gonna get that old son of a gun, I'm gonna play it wrong. Then I can shake your head. Other than that, you never apologize, ever. Years ago, there was a famous trumpet player, Jimmy Maxwell. You probably don't know him, but back in the old jazz band days, he was really famous. He was a wonderful lead trumpet player. He wrote a little pamphlet. He called it a book. It's a pamphlet. How to become a lead trumpet player. And one of the things there was to make a mistake by intent. Intentionally screw something up, and then look at the person next to you and go. The second one was to sneak in during breaks and add accidentals just before the gig. I mean, it was like a terrorizing, horrible book. I mean, he should have gone to prison for it. But all I could think of was Jimmy go, hey, hot damn, except you should have looked at him. Okay, don't ever take it out on yourself. Never, ever get mad at the person making the mistake. The mistake, we can all get angry at. Never the person. You're all way too good for that. So, here's con moto, T. Would you go back for me, please, to, oh, by the way, yeah, awesome. Four before S. I did add the accelerando there, correct?
Yes.
Is that what you wanted? Okay. Make sure you come with me there. I felt like, especially trombone, circle that accelerando. If you were standing here, he'd yell at us for a little more. Trumpets, I'm not going to rehearse it at P. Whatever volume you're playing, could you jack it up 1/2? One volume. So if you're at forte, if you're thinking forte, go fortissimo. If you're forte, you know what I mean? Just go one part. This is the last little one before we rehearse one spot. Oh, maybe not this one. 6 before Q. 6 before Q. If you have a quarter rest and a sforzando half note, or an accented half note, would you make them sforzandos, please? That one, the next one, and then the third one he wrote as a sforzando. Now notice though, I want sforzandos, but I want the volumes he wrote. The first one, that's a forte, the second one forte, the third one fortissimo. So we intensify that. Could we just do that spot? Let's start at before Q. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, please, before Q. 8 before Q. We good? Okay, about here. Okay, I want to do 2 spots. The last one's O as an Oscar. It was great for the first 4 measures. The next 2 got a little misaligned. Okay, here's O. Just keeping in your head. Here it is. What I say? O?
Yeah.
Oscar. Here we are. And. Would you go for me before P for 5 measures? 5 before P. I want to hit this measure slowly. 5 before P. Here it is. 5 before P. 1 and 2 and play and. Trombones, I think the problem is in your effort to give me lots of gliss, you're going a little long. Just think of B-ya. There really isn't a lot of gliss time there at this tempo. Try it. Once again, same people, same place. 1 and 2 and 3 and. That's it. Can you do that for me? Promise?
Yes.
Because he's having trouble finding the rim shot, and then they're having a lot of trouble on the triplets. Here it is. Oh, in time. So it's ya-ba, be-ya-ba. Good. Here's O. Awesome. Thank you for fixing that. Veloce! And we're done with this. Feel good?
Yeah.
You feel like you wrestled a big monster to the floor? You should.
Up here. 3 bears.
There aren't a lot of pieces for wind band that end bigger than this one does, let me tell you. Okay, Veloce. That gliss could not have been better. The rim shot was perfect. That was really an extraordinary fix. Clarinets, that is the best you've ever played again. It was the most emphatic with the pulses. Remember I told you to pulse on? It was singularly the best time we ever did it. And it was just beautiful. Trumpets. I love the spot where I asked you to double the, increase the volume. It was perfect. Now again, don't cross that threshold, that line of not having a beautiful tone in tune, but get nasty at that point in time. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. You do something even close to that today, and you'll do something special. Okay, let me just give you a couple of announcements, and then I know Mr. Wright is. Oh wait, I had one more. No, that's I didn't have. Okay, good. Okay. Every conductor does this differently. And there's no, as I said when we started, no right or wrong. I just would like you to know for tonight. So, once you're there on stage, the first thing you're going to do is what? Make sure you're sitting where you are right now, that orientation we talked about first thing this morning. Second thing is, you're gonna angle your chairs to me, not into each other. Third, you're going to what? You get this one, I'll love you dearly, even more. Raise your stands, bravo. Promise me, I know some of you aren't used to it. The higher the stand, the better the band will perform. I am guaranteeing it for two reasons. One, the sight line's right there. Bulb man, music, and you're not doing this crap, which changes pitch and tone. Here's the second reason. It gets the sound away from you. Think about it, most of your sound, look at a clarinet, here's the sound, it's coming here. Well, if your stand's low, you're blocking yourself. You raise your stand, now my sound's coming out. Got it? There is no instrument in the band that is hurt by having the stand high. None. Everyone has a much better, open, freer sound. Okay, that's the first three things. Got it? Your chairs, the setup, the angle to me, and the stand up. Okay. Once we're ready, and Mr. Wright gives us the high sign that we're ready to go, at some juncture, somebody, either Mr. Wright or myself, is going to mention to Hannah, go. So we'll get quiet. She'll do the A, hum, E flat, like we've done. Yes? Is everybody cool with that? Okay. Now, a couple of things. One, at the end of each piece, I live in fear of not acknowledging a soloist. It happened to me in college. But it was okay because my conductor had the chance the next day to apologize, and at the next concert he had me stand even though I didn't even play the piece. He could make it up, and he wrote me the nicest note ever. I don't have that opportunity. And I will live the rest of my life sad that I didn't acknowledge. So 30 years ago, I started using what conductors call a solo bow. Unlike the typical this that we do at home, where I know every one of you know who's playing and who's seated, I'll just do this. With my left hand at the end of each piece, I'll do a small gesture. You'll have to look for it. It'll look like that. That's for anyone who had a solo. Okay? Then I'll go like this. That's for everybody. Now you will be like every other band on the continent. I'll go like this, and you'll all be like, who? Us? And you'll sit there, and I'll have to go like this, and I'll have to yell, stand up, and I'll all look like an idiot. There is no other band on stage when we're performing. It is you. So just stand up. And I have a pet peeve. You've got to turn and face the audience square. There is nothing dumber than the two flutes facing each other. You've been staring at each other for 3 days. Look at the audience. So let's try this. So we'll pretend we just finished Pompeii. Here's the solo bow for anybody who had a solo. Go on, stand. There are 4 of you. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to wait, so you have to decide, okay? And then, now this is it. Ready? Up. Now turn. Square on. Yay, sit. Okay, excellent. Percussion. So I have raced you unbelievably to get set. Inhumanely to get set for each piece of the rehearsal. You take your time tonight. I'll give you all the time in the world. Once I count faces and you're looking at me, that's code. I have everything I need. I'm ready to go. So if you're waiting for a triangle beater or a stand or something, don't look at me because that's my cue. Don't look down, turn around, do something. I'm going to look at each of your faces. Once I'm ready, I'm going to go. A friend of mine who was, we shared an office many years ago, 3 jobs ago, but he was the orchestra director where I was teaching, and he had this weird habit. It's the quirkiest thing. Richard would run on stage, and I mean run, like a 50-yard dash. He would jump on the podium and go like this to start every concert. It was the dorkiest thing until one day he was doing this wonderful fanfare by Giuseppe Verdi. Starts with solo trombone. And Richard runs on stage, grabs it, and goes like this. And nothing happened. And he looked over, the young man playing it, I remember, he's a band director in Philadelphia right now, was off stage. He had gone to the bathroom. And Richard's like, and he looks, and there's the guy with his trombone going. So he scurries on stage, and poor Richard was broken of the habit. He just went. And he never did it again. I live in fear of going like this and not having a tambourine or a timpani beater or whatever it is. Okay, so make sure that's it. Okay. This one is crucially important. Page turns. Some of these are very long pieces. There's one spot where it's mostly folks in the middle. I don't remember where. Do you know where you have to flip pages and it's a very soft moment? Please pick it up, calmly take your time and put it back down. It doesn't need to sound like an elephant in a paper bag. Okay? It's only in 2 of the pieces that I heard it pretty loud. I know some of them are hurried changes, but do the best you can. Okay? Good, okay. Now this is the most important one to me, and I'm going to leave you be. Early, I might add, Mr. Wright. This is extremely artificial. Because we're in this room, it's like singing in the shower. You have a ceiling, I'm gonna get us 15 feet above your head, hard surfaces on every corner, your sound's coming right back to you. You're gonna go into a big barn and try to replicate this sound with no dress rehearsal. That is what the finest of pros live in fear of. That's their worst nightmare. Anything makes them turn nervous. Not nervous, but it's uptight. It's playing a room cold. Especially having fine-tuned, so to speak, what we sound like here. All of a sudden, that wall's gone. There's nothing sending the sound back to you. All of a sudden, those walls are gone. And all of a sudden, you don't have a ceiling or it's 50 feet above you. It's literally like going from singing in the shower to singing out on the 50-yard line of a football field with no mic. That's the difference. You need to keep your wits about you, and here's the best advice I can give you. I need you to think this all the time. The only way to get past it, to go beyond that limitation, is that everything you do is by ear of sensing what's going on with regard to tone, volume, blend, all of those things you would listen for. But time and rhythm is 100% here. Because if you wait for the sound to get back to you, to reference letter M in Pompeii, after it hits the back wall of the theater and back to you, I'll already be in my bed at home asleep in New York by the time the sound gets back. Got it? Whereas here, it's instantaneous. So time, tempo, and rhythm. You stare at the stick, and you go by the stick, even if your ears play tricks on you. Everything else, you help with your ears. I had a band the very first weekend of January. We rehearsed in a fairly large band room. It was a band a little bigger than this, it was 150, but it was in a big giant band room. Again, walls and ceiling. We then went to a 4,000 seat auditorium. 4,000 seats. 3 entire balconies. Massive, brilliant, gorgeous place in already middle school. I was blown away. It became the performing arts complex for the entire region. And they built this, I mean, it's breathtaking, it's gorgeous, floating clouds, it's phenomenal. But we were singing in the shower for 3 full days, and we get out in this place and have to play it blind. And I gave them the same admonition I'm giving you. You go by the stick for time and rhythm. Everything else, help your ears with. Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
Okay. You have done everything humanly possible to make this concert a success. I pray that it goes well, because you've earned it and you've worked for it. I want it to go well for you and your families and your teachers. I really do. But what matters most to me is what you did in this room. See, that's the true measure of a musician. What we do when there's no one listening. It's easy to say, I need to play really well because there's 50 people watching me. The stuff that comes from here that makes a musician special, that's done in solitude. And that's the true measure of someone. To me. I hope you have a ball. I hope you think like a computer. I hope you listen like a hawk and watch like an eagle. But most importantly, just play from the heart. Y'all do that, no matter what, it's breathtaking. You promise?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was it worth all the work?
Yes.
Love you dearly. Have a great time today. Listen to your instructions, and I can't wait for tonight. Bye.
I've noticed a lot of you put your certificates inside your folder. You may want to pull those out and then take them with you as you go to lunch and head back to your hotel, because you're going to turn folders in after your concert tonight, okay? Also, take your name tags off of your stands now. And if you're right in the middle. If you're this side, passing to the end of your row. If you're this side, passing to the end of the row. We'll come, you just pick your favorite side. Okay, again, your call time is 6 p.m. So be here before, Gilbert and I were back there, and I cannot believe that you guys, how far you've come to serve, and I mean, it truly is breathtaking. The light almost came out of the ceiling. Did you see that?
I got worried, one of them falls down and hits your podium. I thought, what would that be?
We're going to start moving percussion equipment, and so what I would really like for you to do, if at all possible, exit from here, or from here, or here, and just go around the hall. And we would like, as few people as possible, to exit out those doors. Okay? So we're gonna start moving stuff. If you would like to help us, the more hands, the quicker we get it done. If you move one thing, if you help move one thing over, we would knock it out in 10 to 15 minutes. Okay? But so please try not to exit out those doors if you could, by all means, help it. Be like some days you go 9:75. Okay? We're rolling things out. Mr. Gilbert, do you have anything else that you need to add in the group?
That's all we can do.
Awesome.
Okay, so that was the rehearsal recording. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is the rest of the section.
Give it up for Mr. Wright, Mr. Gilbert again.